Have you ever wondered why some Formula One teams continue to compete year after year, even when they are so far behind on the grid that they can barely finish in the points, let alone have any chance of winning? Well, let's try to explain this. In 2022, the Williams team scored a total of only 8 points. Just 8. To give you an idea, Max Verstappen, the champion that year, scored 454 points. It's as if Williams were practicing a completely different sport. And they're not alone. Haas, another small team, hasn't finished above 5th place in the Constructors' Championship since 2016. Still, they keep racing year after year like that friend who always shows up for football despite never scoring a goal. So, what's the deal? Why do these teams keep racing in Formula One despite having no chance of winning? Well, you'll be shocked to learn why. First of all, there's a unique revenue-sharing model in Formula One that's more profitable than you think. In 2023, Formula One teams shared an impressive $1.4 billion prize pool, and it will probably be even larger in 2024. You might think that finishing last means going home empty-handed, right? Wrong. Haas, for example, despite finishing the 2023 season last, still pocketed $98 million in prize money. But it gets even better. Formula One has something called Column 1 payments. It's basically a loyalty bonus for teams that have been around for a while. Column 1 payments are distributed equally among the top 10 teams in Formula One over the last 3 years. In 2021, the amount was $36 million extra per team, regardless of their position in the championship. It's like getting a big Christmas bonus just for showing up to work. This financial safety net is the reason you don't see Formula One teams quitting as often as expected. Take Williams, for example. They were once the best team in Formula One, but had some tough years. In any other business, that might have been the end of the team, but they're still competing in Formula One thanks to this smart revenue model. You might be wondering, is prize money the only way these teams stay afloat? Not at all. Sponsorships are another lifeblood for Formula One teams. Even underperforming teams can attract big sponsorships. In 2023, Haas teamed up with MoneyGram for an annual $20 million deal, and Alfa Romeo, the team that finished 9th in the 2023 season, secured a 3-season, $100 million deal with gambling company Stake. But here's where it gets really interesting. These sponsorships aren't just about putting a logo on the car. The goal is to associate with the glamour and prestige of Formula One. That's why you'll see 15 to 20 sponsors per team, each with their slice of the F1 pie. And let's not forget about merchandise, caps, collectibles. The F1 fans never tire of their favorite team's items. It's another revenue stream that keeps the wheels turning even for the teams at the back of the grid. Moving forward, another reason why losing teams stay in Formula One is the tempting promise of future regulation changes. Imagine you're playing a video game you're not very good at, constantly losing to your friends, and it's getting frustrating. But then you hear a rumor that the game developers are planning a massive update. Suddenly, there's a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this update will change the game in a way that suits your strengths. That's exactly how smaller Formula One teams feel when they hear about upcoming rule changes. Let's take a trip back to 2009. The world of Formula One was turned upside down that year with major rule changes that really shook things up. Everyone expected Ferrari and McLaren to dominate the 2009 season as always. Instead, a fluorescent white and yellow car left everyone in the dust. It was the Brawn GP team, a team that barely existed a few months earlier. The team was formed in early 2009 when Ross Brawn took over Honda Racing Formula One for £1. Honda's 2008 season wasn't great. They finished 9th out of 11 teams. So when Ross Brawn took over, no one expected surprises from the new team. But that's not how things turned out. Brawn GP spotted a gap in the new regulations and designed a clever device called the double diffuser, which gave them a huge advantage. Suddenly, this team was winning races and eventually won both championships. But it's not always about finding gaps. Sometimes, rule changes are specifically designed to level the playing field. One example is the introduction of the budget cap in 2021. For years, big teams like Mercedes and Ferrari could spend more than their smaller rivals. But with the budget cap, everyone had to compete with similar resources. Teams like McLaren and Red Bull, who had been struggling to stay ahead, saw this as their chance to close the gap. Even now, teams are looking ahead to future rule changes. We'll have new engine regulations in 2026, and smaller teams are already dreaming about how this could help them. Every time Formula One announces new rules, you can almost feel the collective joy of the smaller teams. The eyes of their engineers sparkle. Their designers start sketching furiously, because they know that in these moments of change, there's a chance, however small, of finding the silver bullet that will take them to the front of the grid. Beyond regulation changes, these underperforming teams always believe they can improve. The Formula One journey isn't just about physical aspects like speed and aerodynamics. It's also about the invisible, the gradual refinement of processes, building a team culture, and accumulating knowledge and experience. Each season, each race, and each lap contributes to this reservoir of knowledge. Look at the evolution of Force India, which was formerly Racing Point and is now Aston Martin. They entered the sport in 2008, often fighting at the back of the grid. However, year after year, they refined their approach, especially in maximizing their limited resources. By the mid-2010s, they were regularly scoring points, alleviating their financial burden, and inspiring the passionate team members who were part of these struggling teams. The potential for improvement is more than just a possibility. It's a driving force. It's what got Tyrrell's mechanics out of bed during their difficult final years in the late 1990s. It's what kept the lights on at Minardi's factory into the late hours of the night during 2 decades of fierce battle at the back of the grid. It helps today's smaller teams like Haas and Williams keep their heads high in the paddock despite recent disappointing results. They know that in Formula One, fortunes can change quickly, and the last today might be the underdog of tomorrow. Another reason why teams like Haas or Sauber still compete in Formula One is that Formula One teams are sometimes seen as long-term investments. Some teams view their participation as a long-term investment, hoping to add value to the team for potential sales or future success. Sauber, for example, spent years as an underdog, often struggling to score points. But the team's founder, Peter Sauber, saw beyond immediate results. He was building something valuable, brick by brick, race by race. Fast forward to 2026, and the team caught the attention of Longbow Finance. They saw the potential in the company and bought a majority stake. Suddenly, Sauber had money and brighter prospects. But the story doesn't end there. In 2026, German automotive giant Audi is set to enter Formula One. And guess which team they've chosen to buy? That's right, Sauber, from the back of the grid to the working team of a major manufacturer. Now, that's long-term investment return. The same goes for Jordan GP. Ed Jordan started his team in 1991. For 14 years, they persevered through financial struggles and mediocre results. But Ed had his eye on the long term. In 2005, he sold the team to Midland Group for a good sum. The team then changed hands a few more times, becoming Spiker, then Force India, Racing Point, and now Aston Martin. Each sale added value, snowballing as it went down the mountain. Today, Aston Martin is fighting for points and podiums with a 2-time world champion at the wheel. The team Ed Jordan built from scratch is now worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Not bad for a team that spent many years at the back of the grid, right? But it's not just about selling the team. Sometimes, long-term investment means building a platform for future success. Take Red Bull, for example. When they bought the struggling Jaguar team in 2004, many thought it was just a publicity stunt. But Dietrich Mateschitz, Red Bull's founder, saw the situation differently. He was investing in the future of his brand. In the early years, Red Bull was far from the front, but they kept investing, hiring the right people and building state-of-the-art facilities. It took time, but by 2009, they were winning races. From 2010 to 2013, they dominated the sport, winning 4 consecutive championships. And now they're back at the top with Max Verstappen.